All right, here we go. Here we go. Please buckle up and make sure you're tucked in because we are Diverse Talking Head Podcast and we're on the air. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that's very interesting to, I would say, at least 90% of Americans at this time. We're going to talk about social media. I'm your host. Calvin Gibbs is my name. And here we have our panelists of experts to give us their thoughts on social media. Is it a connector or is it something that divides us? Please welcome to the show, panelist Dan.
Good evening, Calvin.
Good evening, Dan. And we have Karen.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Karen. Welcome. And we have Charlie.
Calvin, thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have you here, Charlie. So let's jump right into it and get it going. Social media, is it a connector or divider? 64%, and this is as of August of 2022, 64% of Americans believe that social media platforms do more to divide us, And if that's true, how and why? Let's start with Dan. Dan, do you believe that social media connects us as a community, as human beings, or does it divide us? Your feelings.
I think it does both. So connection, you can connect with people, especially relatives might be in another town or another country, friends that you haven't seen for a long time, communities, business uses it for good connections. So I think those are all positive. There's an opportunity to get more information, but it also divides us because the algorithms are designed to take you down the same path that you are used to. It allows us to do silos, so we only see things we agree with. And I feel strongly that you should read things you don't agree with also, as well as things you do agree with. And if you only meet people that have the same view, you don't have a chance to expand.
Well, that's
So I think it divides more than it connects.
Well, that's a little confusing to me because wouldn't people that have the same views, that we seeing the same things, wouldn't we bind together rather than separate? Karen, what's your thoughts on it?
Your question again?
My question is, since the algorithms that Dan mentioned are geared towards giving us news and putting us in, showing us things that we are interested in, how does it divide us? If we are seeing stuff that we like, that we want to see, if we're connected with people we want to be connected with, how does it divide us?
It divides us because it gives people some sort of anonymity where they can express their thoughts and opinions without actually identifying themselves. And sometimes the language is harsh and hateful. And because a person looks at a video or reads an article doesn't necessarily mean that you're interested in it. And what social media will do, because you looked at that article, it will flood your page with stories repetitiously, with the same kind of story. No matter how you block this page, that page, or you say you don't want to see it, you're not interested, it creates a hostile environment sometimes, especially when it comes to expressing themselves.
That's a very interesting thought, because in doing my research for this show, I was thinking about an analogy that I could come up with. And I came up with, as Dan said, social media is a mix of good and bad, because like a hammer, for example, You can use it to hang stuff up, fix things, right? Or you could take the hammer, swing it wildly, hit somebody in the head, put holes in the wall, and that's the bad side of it. So, Charlie, do you feel that social media emboldens or empowers people?
I'm assuming you're meaning embolden more of the negative sense on that. That my answer would be in some cases, yes. Does it empower people? I also believe in some cases it does that, and it does it positively. It's, social media, like any form of communication, is a funnel. You can do with it what you will. I personally have always taken the philosophy that how I want to approach it, and the way I do it, and I'm on social media, I'm on Facebook and all that. And I'm very particular about what I promote, talk about in there, or promote, as you will, including this show. And I always found it personally important that I wanted to write things about what I was doing, as opposed to, I read an article, I had some random opinion on it or something like that. I want to just thought, what am I doing in my life? Because I'm a human being and I have value and I should be doing things of value in my life. And it could be anything from, being involved in this show or other activities. It could be obviously with your family, your children, your friends, or any of that stuff. That's fine. And I have personally avoided talking politically, with some exceptions, on things. Sometimes I'll write something because there's something that's being said that's not correct, and I know it's not correct, and I'll say that's not correct on it. And that once in a while I do that. But it's really up to everybody to decide what they want to do. Like any medium, it brings out the worst in people, where people go and say things. I will tell you that I have unfollowed probably 6 people online because I just got tired of their, I'll use the word droning of political views. And I just got tired of it. And I didn't want to read it anymore because it was really not doing anything. The funny thing off that is that later they sent me a happy birthday to them, and I did get that, so I made sure I said happy birthday back. But I never put any comments on their thing because I don't read them, because it's just the same thing, and it may be not what I want to hear, but it was just too much. And there are people with certain beliefs that I don't like, but I still, they put what they will out there. But these individuals are just, in my opinion, were becoming too much.
Now, it's very interesting that you said, like any other medium, it has its good and bad. I believe you said. But when you think about things like TV or radio, for example, if somebody's getting on there and they're saying something that you don't like, what do? You turn the channel. You don't have to deal with it, right? But we keep coming, we see things in Facebook and we keep coming back to it. We write some stuff, we get pissed off, everybody's arguing with each other, but we
can't stay away.
Right, but we come back for more. Why? What kind of hold does this current social media have on us?
I think that's a lot to do with human nature. And then a lot of us have, and we all have things that people say, why do you watch that? We can go get funny on that if we want to. But it's just human nature. People do that, and if they're attracted to that, they will do that. I remember when, we started having iPhones and things like that. And there was a story about Steve Jobs, was the head of Apple. And they were hiring somebody, on it. And they were offering them a salary and all that in a job interview. And the applicant was hesitant about it. And Steve Jobs says, well, why the hell would you not want to work here? We're making really cool stuff here. This is really cool. You want to be involved in this, because of all the good and bad possibilities of it, just as the same as the other mediums like television, radio, and other communication medium, phones, and so forth. So this is more sophisticated, technologically, and so forth.
Let's switch gears for a second and talk about the types of information that's out there. Okay, if I wanted to put something out there without any merits of it being true, I could do so. I could say, well, The fish in the pond are all dying. We've eaten some of those fish, and now we have some uncontrollable disease, and it's spreading like wildfire, right? I can put that out there. Somebody's going to pick that up and believe it and spread it to somebody else. Or the other side of it is somebody could put something out there that's really true, based in facts, as we found out with the pandemic. You can put things out there that scientifically have numbers to back it up, information to back it up, and people won't buy it. Why do we trust the misinformation and not trust the good stuff, the real stuff? Dan.
So a couple things,
Karen, you're next.
One of the big differences with social media is it's not filtered, it's not edited. So our other news sources that we had in the past had editors. You had to get past in order to put it out there. Now, some misinformation got out there. Also, the difference is it's two-way, it's interactive. Radio and TV were one way. They just came at you. You couldn't answer them. I think what happens is people sit behind a keyboard and they do things they would never do in your face. They would never do in person. And it's built to have you stay on. They are purposely built to stay on. There's also different formats and different information. You might have a LinkedIn, which is more business. You might have a Facebook that's more social. You might have TikTok that is more short videos. However, you never know how they're going to evolve. TikTok right now is the #1 search engine because young people use it instead of Google. So these pieces are all there, but it goes back to what I said in the beginning with the algorithms. They are built to react to what you're doing and to send you down that rabbit hole. And we don't realize we're doing it because we have this fear of missing out. So we want to see the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And misinformation can be dispensed exponentially now, whereas before it was filtered and edited.
Okay, Karen.
Thank you, Dan, because you said something very important. There was a time when we did research to determine the validity of a story, but even with the media and news and so forth, newspapers, the better it sounds, the more sensational it sounds. We just put it out there, and a lot of people don't do their research. If it sounds as super dramatic, scary, good news, we don't do the research. We take what other people say and we run with it. We run so far that we can't even look back to say, hey, where was I going? And it's just crazy. And I was saying to someone, when did we stop validating the truth? When did we, especially with social media, we ban people because of their language and their conversation, but then you bring them back with the same language and conversation,
Yep.
which were inaccurate.
Yep.
How is that beneficial? It's not. And I know a lot of people who walked away from social media because of that.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people who have lost friendships, what was perceived as friendships, have unfriended people because of social media. I remember, especially during the summer of 2020, man, people were like verbally going at it, man. They were like knocked down, dragged, and to a point, some friends of mine, people that I've known for a while, worked with, people that have even visited my house and broke bread with me. I found them saying things that was really pissing me off as a Black man, and Yeah, they are no longer friends. And my thing is, why do you get on social media and express all of this when we had plenty of conversations? I've been to your house, you've been to my house. I mean, you've traveled from another state to come stay with me for and my family for a period of time. Why didn't any of this come out then? We could have had a discussion, you know. So yeah, there's that. So um then politics. Politics.
Of course.
That seems that seems to be the biggest thing. Everybody's laughing right now. The biggest thing of all. People get blown out of the water about politics. And again, as Karen said, there's a lot of misinformation. People don't fact check anymore. I've had people come to me and, oh, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, get the hell out of here. That don't even sound right. Did you even investigate that? Did you, you can't get your news from social media, people. Charlie, your thoughts?
Well, as I was saying earlier, this is not unique. I mean, it's become the ways of communication become more sophisticated, one, than back in the day where you would watch television or read the newspaper or a magazine or whatever, I spent enough hours at bookstores and things like that, catching up on stuff like that because I want to buy the subscription. But so I think it's again based in human nature. I'll tell you one thing though. I decided never to get a Twitter account, and the reason why I decided not to get a Twitter account is Twitter to me was based on, okay, let's say I was having a bad day, and I was pissed off at you, Calvin, for something. Not that that would ever happen, of course. And I was going on, and I go, Calvin is such a, whatever, blah blah blah. And then maybe a couple days later, and I go back and why the hell did I write that for? Because I had a hissy fit, whatever you want to call it, motion on an issue.
Mhm.
And I said, I'm never going to write anything online that's impulsive like that. Even if it were true, even I would sit back and say, okay, if I want to say something, I'm going to, watch my, carefully pick my words and things like that, or talk to you privately about it, depending on the issue.
I've actually taken some postings down that I put up, and I'll tell you what it was about. It was about the Will Smith slapping of Chris Rock. I put something up on my page, and it was my point of view. It was early that next morning. I put it up there. It was my point of view, and man, I had people coming at me like you would not believe. People that are friends of mine on Facebook, and I'll just say people that I went to school with. I just know them by name. They was coming at me like crazy. Like, damn, I don't even know you. What the hell? I know you in name only. Basically, what the hell you coming at me like that for? And after seeing all the posts, people coming out the woodwork after maybe a day, I took it down because it was just causing too much confusion. And it would be better, I think, in a lot of cases, if people would just take things down. I mean, yeah, you can put it up, but if you see that it's causing the waves of turbulence and it's causing more harm than good, why not just take that down? Very seldom do I see that happen. So anyway,
I think a lot of people are just not good communicators, and I'll just give a couple quick examples. I'm a big hater of what I call the cryptic post. Like somebody wrote something, I had a good day today. Okay, what happened? It's like 20 questions here. And there's just so little information. Or an individual has a personal problem, and I may be sympathetic to their personal problem, but they write it as though we know what the problem is already, maybe a handful of their friends on social media know it. And I'm trying to figure out what exactly they're talking about here, that they don't recognize the whole audience that they're speaking that to, that there might be a number of people that don't understand what they're talking about. And maybe if they did know that, they might be helpful on that potentially.
Do you think that we spend too much time on social media? Dan.
Of course we do, but it's designed to do that. You know, well, it also depends who's spending and how you're spending. Okay, so if you're out educating yourself and reading things, reading articles and stuff, maybe not. If you're just communicating with your friends on a friendly basis, maybe not. If you're sitting behind a keyboard trying to be anonymous, bashing everybody you can find, yeah, probably. And I think it's that anonymity that allows that. But and I know I've said this already a few times, I go back to the way it's designed. It is designed to keep you on there. And you will find yourself, it's easy on your phone to fire something off without thinking about it. Because we don't step back anymore. We just react. And also, reactions are currency on social media. So a lot of people who are very active there want reactions, even if they're negative. They want numbers of reactions to validate themselves. So if you get mad at them, that is just as good as if you agree with them. And it is designed to do that and to build that up. And then it causes a lot of harm. We no longer have discourse. We're just yelling past each other.
Very thoughtful, Dan. Could we live in a world without social media anymore?
Yes, we can. We sure can. Because what I found with social media was people no longer reached out privately to their friends, family members. Everybody wants to hit you up on social media. At one point in time, I had to tell a lot of people, don't send me any messages on Facebook, or don't send me a Twitter tweet, whatever, however. I have Instagram, but I don't use it. And everybody's like, well, I sent you a message. Everybody's not going, if you're a friend or family member and you have my number, call me, send me a text message. I pull back so far, especially during the political season a couple of years ago, because I couldn't take people being so cruel to each other. And right now I scan it for birthdays, anniversaries, and if you got a good story to share about your life, say something positive behind it. But other than that, I can live without it. I can. I can't speak for other people.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I can too. I've actually dialed back quite a bit. Some days I don't look at it at all. If I get a notification as someone has contacted me directly, I'll look at that. But there's a lot of the pages I don't look at anymore. I don't miss it actually. I do, because I do promote this podcast on Facebook. Our page is called Diverse Talking Heads Podcast, by the way. I do check the analytics on that from time to time. And I do still have my video blog on there. And that's called Born to Speak to You. That's the page, y'all. And I do promote that as well. But I find myself being off it a lot more these days, especially Facebook and LinkedIn, because I'm not really in a position of looking for a job or hiring anybody. I don't get on that too much either. I see a lot of reposting on LinkedIn. And if there's no original content, then it really doesn't faze me too much. So, as a matter of fact, some expert has said, suggested limiting their time on social media, reading through info, and formulating your own opinions based on facts that would override misinformation. Sounds like a lot of work. Sounds like a lot of work. Maybe we should just go back to the good old newspaper, huh?
Well, I think one of the biggest indictments we can say about social media is we live in a time where we have access to more information than ever in the history of the world,
Amen.
and we appear to be less informed.
Amen. Somebody had said, well, it was on social media, so it must be true. Yeah, right. So
But
social.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Hey, Karen.
Even if we have this information, how accurate is it? That's the part that blows me away. The accuracy of the information. And you remember, I don't know if you all remember. We're gonna date ourselves. When the internet first started and you did your research and stuff popped up like it was written for the encyclopedias,
Yeah.
now it's like, how true is that? Like I did not know that Wikipedia was something where people input information. It's not based on someone else authoring the story. I was like, what? Like, I know Calvin, and I can say Calvin did XYZ in 1977, and they incorporate that into your bio
Yeah.
on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, with Facebook, like I have a Twitter account. I can't even close the account because I don't know the password. And Twitter won't give you. You know how you can reset your password? Twitter won't do that because you have to remember what your name was that you signed up with and the password. If I'm asking you to reset it, come on now.
Good point. Good point. So I think we can all agree that social media can be good when used properly, when the content is factual, or if it's informational, good information, real information, or it could be bad. The bad side is you get misinformation. You have people that become, let's say, incensed with other people because of their points of views. You have people that become bold because now they're hiding behind a terminal, so they feel they can say whatever. And I guess on the same note, you have some people that will say some crazy stuff just to get people riled up. True? I see Charlie nodding his head.
Yes.
Yep, indeed. So I asked the question, can we live without social media? Karen said yes. I'm going to ask Charlie and Dan the same question. Let's start with Charlie.
Well, we did for centuries, so it's certainly possible.
Oh, yeah. This is true. But once you get a taste of it, can you go
Well,
back?
sometimes
When
you
you get a taste
gotta
of the good stuff, Charlie, can you
kind of
go
like
back?
alcoholism or something. I don't know. It's like, but again, then we're getting a bigger issue about regulation and all that, which is maybe beyond our discussion here. So
Okay, Dan,
not going to go away.
not going to go away. Dan, can we survive without social media?
I'd say no, because the Pandora's box has been open, but we can do it less.
Hmm.
I know I do it less than I used to. I've cut back, but I think it still has power to build communities. And I think that's a good piece I'd like to keep. But it also has the ability to bring down hellfire on your head. So, it's a two-edged sword like any tool. And I look at it as I think we can keep it, but I'd like to see it evolve into a more human form.
Now, for our last segment on this topic, I do have a question for you all. Recently in the news, we've been hearing about the U.S. Government wanting to close down TikTok. Do we have the right to do that? are they actually spying on us through social media? Thoughts, Karen?
Absolutely.
Absolutely what?
They're spying.
They're
They're
spying?
they're they're spying. People are looking and reporting. I believe that.
Mm,
I believe uh they do that because when something happens or someone says something and they're anonymous, what's the first thing that America does? They go to social media and they hunt the person down. They find out who they are, where they work, and so forth and so on. I believe it. I believe it. It's a tool based on what you write.
mm. Dan, thoughts?
So with TikTok, do we have the right to shut it down? Yes, because it's a business and not anything attached to the Constitution or anything. Is it practical? Probably not. But it is owned by a Chinese company based in China, and under Chinese law, the Chinese government has access to all databases. Do I believe they will take whatever they can out of there? Yes. So I think they use it to spy on us. However, the controls that we are demanding of TikTok should also be demanded of Google and Twitter and Facebook and everyone else, because it is about commerce and it has almost become a utility and I personally think this is probably a discussion for a whole nother podcast, but I happen to believe that it should be treated like a utility and regulated like electricity and other things like that.
Hmm. You said some interesting things there. Charlie, your thoughts?
I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to say I pretty much agree with what Dan and Terrence said.
Now, when you think about the population, I should say the people that use TikTok, that go to TikTok, that are on TikTok, are these people that really have any big secrets that they want to give away? That's a national security threat.
Well,
Anybody? This one.
I think that, correct me if I'm wrong here, that most of the people you just pick out are young people, teenagers, young adults. So obviously the first thought is there's not, presumably they don't have a lot of national secrets there, you know. And if they did, that might be another show. We need to talk about that. But nonetheless, you know, that's a tricky question on that. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, the reason that I asked the question is because I expect this country to keep us safe in so many other ways, and they fail. Why are they going after them like this? We get other stuff from China as well,
Right.
and why not just ban or fine or do something to the Americans that's viewing this? Why not stop it from within? Because they couldn't do it, maybe?
Well, they're talking about, cutting it off. It's already been banned from many government equipment, things like that. Remember, it's a matter of collecting data. So most of the data they're collecting actually are on minors, which is illegal. And it's just grabbing as much information as possible about Americans that they can use in the future. We don't know how they're going to use it. National security is not always about missiles and bullets.
Right.
It's about technology. It's about people. It's about compromising people, things like that. And the bottom line is all this data is flowing into a government that we are currently at odds with. So the other side of it is politically, it's an easy target because the things you mentioned are also very important.
Indeed. So I think we've had a very stimulating conversation this evening about social media and whether it divides us or does it bring us together. We have all agreed that it's a mix of both. Well, where will it end? Well, stay tuned. It could be just like technology and an automobile. It will never last. That's a joke, y'all. But that's about all, y'all. Any last thoughts before we sign off? Any last thoughts? Charlie, anything you want to say about technology, about social media? Excuse me.
Well, as I said technology, I said I'm leaving on my spaceship once we're done here, but that's another story. There's a lot of good in technology. I'm going to take I mean, it's up to us as individuals to do that. You know, it's the same as anything else that's happened in history. People do the negative aspects of it, and some people do the positive aspects of it. You know, I had communication, and I noted that on my social media page last week, with a good friend of mine I haven't spoken to 30 years, and I was able to FaceTime him. He lives overseas. And I was able to, you know, through the wonder of technology and Wi-Fi, you know, we were able to reconnect on that. And I'll just make a quick comment at the end. So I contacted him, and I just got his audio at first. And then I said, could you turn your camera on? And then he did. Of course, he's an old man now, you know, like me. And I kind of went, you know, like that. What happened? You know, 30 years passed, you know. And then we've been talking several times since then. In fact, I'm probably going to talk to him here after the show. So there's a lot of great things on technology. I don't want to totally denigrate it, but it's up to us as individuals to take the good and not take the bad.
Well, you know, I personally will say this. I believe that it's not going anywhere. It's ingrained into our culture at this point, much like our cell phones are not going anywhere anytime soon. Just like our video games are not going anywhere anytime soon. Our automobiles are not going anywhere anytime soon. You know, they may change it from gas to electric or whatever, but people still need a way to get around. So I don't think that social media is actually going to end, but I don't know where it's going next. And that sometimes could be the scary part, not knowing what's next. So that's about all, y'all, for this segment of Diverse Talking Heads podcast. I'm your host, Calvin Gibbs, and tonight I want to thank our panelists. Dan, thank you very much for being here. Charlie, stimulating conversation as always. Karen, you are the bomb, girl. And until our next episode of Diverse Talking Heads podcast, we're going to take 2 steps to the rear and get on out of here. Until the next episode, exit stage left.